So first of all, I'm shadow banned on Twitter. They stopped distributing my messages. I don't know why. I think it was because I talked about a hypothetical programmer using a program that they wrote to identify child pornography so that it could be prevented from being uploaded to the internet. I'm pretty sure it's my tweets about that are banned, because not that it's because if you talk about child pornography, child sexual abuse material, they that's what gets you shadow banned. But it was like okay, I don't know, I thought it was an interesting question. People like accusing, they're like, oh, are you talking about this person? I'm like, well, I don't know, it was a hypothetical about it. I'm just curious what people think. I just think it's weird to create something that will trawl through the web and tag and identify child pornography. I feel like that could be used in a bad way. But I don't know. It seems like it could. But apparently I'm retarded to think that. Or I'm too drunk to see how that's a good thing to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Felix, whoever, anybody in software development. If you have the ability to identify something, you would subsequently have the ability to identify it for positive or negative purposes. Am I correct? Right? Like, if you go, I want to ban this, you have that ability because you have that data. If you say, I want to specifically log this in a particular folder I'm going to jerk off to, you would have that ability too. Am I correct? I think so. Now, there are third-party services. There are government services. And I believe there are third-party services who have received, incidentally, large amounts of the child sexual abuse material. So you have these services that are out there that are very, very voluminous. They're curated by teams and algorithms that have been refined. And at this point, you don't need a ton of exposure to the actual material because there's so much, like, it's weird to say, but it's true. Child sexual abuse material is logged by the FBI and NSA because it's kind of hard to produce and distribute newer stuff. The more information that's out there, the more possible it is to find. Like when you upload stuff, there's a point of contact. When you have EXIF data, there's a point of contact. When you have anything attached to it, there's some point of contact. And the newer and more available points of contact, the more chances there are that you miss something. Non-existing material, it's out there, it's acquirable if you're in the wrong horrific places. And so, it gets uploaded, and it may get tagged, it may not, depending on if this software is being employed or if the FBI is watching or whatever. But there's a government service that does this. It's available to some users. And I believe they're private services because they said Twitter's going to get a lot of this shit. Your WordPress blog about how to cook pumpkins is not, right? But I was talking to someone who set up a website. It's similar to a social media subscription site that exists. They set it up and they said, dude, it's constant. It is constant. The upload of this stuff. If you're a site admin or a sysadmin, it's constant. It's like people are uploading it all the time for whatever purposes. Either they want to upload it and share it to a place that isn't theirs, that can't be traced back to them, or they want to upload it and frame the website or whatever. It doesn't really matter. For whatever reason, they want to upload this horrific material, either to make the website look bad or to preserve it for themselves, and you can never know the motive. But this web admin was like, it's constant. I'm constantly having to police against this gross, horrific stuff. All right? Makes sense. So there is a reason to want to employ an automated program that checks it against a database of hashes. Makes sense. What if you don't have that database, though? Are you going to make your own? And the moment you make your own, aren't you suddenly taking on a role where you or an AI or whatever is now accepting this horrific data, analyzing it, categorizing it, taking a small sample of it, and maybe deleting it? Like, the assumption is you delete it and prevent it from being uploaded a second time. But who's policing that? Now, don't get me wrong. This is the ultimate concept. Of course, people can do it for a noble purpose. Of course, people can say, this is bad. I have an idea of how to prevent the bad, and do it. But it is just as reasonable to say that the person doing it for good would do it for bad. If you don't trust the person, if you don't know the person, why would you automatically think they're doing it for a noble purpose? Because we all know if we had Superman powers, like, we'd fight crime until we're standing in line at a Walmart behind someone who doesn't speak English, trying to buy a PlayStation game and not understanding the warranty question. You're like, my brother in Jalisco, you do not want the extended warranty on Gran Turismo 7 or whatever it is. What you want to do is buy your game for $73, walk outside and get hit by a bus and die. We don't know the purpose of the thing. We can assume it's a noble purpose, and I tend to assume everything's a noble purpose. But what if the person who's doing it has never given another person on earth the charity of a good assumption? Now, if they've never given another person the charity of the good assumption, should they be extended the charity of the good assumption themselves? Or should you look at their history, their statements, context, and go, I don't know if it's a good purpose or a bad purpose. Which one should you do? It's a good question, isn't it? How much do you trust the person doing it? Because it's always the question. But it's funny that there are people out there who will always take that negative position unless the mirror is turned on them. Because when the mirror is turned on them, they're like, no, I have a good reason for it. But everyone that they have talked about has a good reason for what they talk about. But once you turn the mirror on them and you go, wait, isn't this you? Like, no. Whoa. That's very uncharitable. It's like, oh, is it uncharitable? Okay. I don't know. Whatever you want to do, man. But it's weird because people get to draw their own conclusions. And the entire premise of what you do is that you get to draw your own conclusions. But what if a friend reached out and said, hey, man, I know your conclusions are wrong. And here's a friendly way to tell you that your conclusions aren't right because I have personal knowledge. And you're like, no, I'm always right about everything because I am super right. And I go, okay, well, I guess. But what if we're all right? What if everybody else is right? That'd be really unfortunate. So it's a strange thing. It's funny how people don't see what they say. They don't even entertain the concept that it could be in some way used against them, because of course it'd be very unreasonable to use that against them, right? Unless they use it against everybody else, unless they take the unreasonable position against everybody else on earth. Then is it unreasonable? or not? I don't know, guys. Did Chris Chan fuck his mom? Can someone answer that question for me? Someone out there tell me, did Chris Chan fuck his mom? Because he was held in jail for a long time, but his case was dismissed without trial. Why? Why is that? I don't know. A lot of people are convinced it definitely happened. Not the state, though. The state's not convinced it happened. Seems like if you have the statements that he made online, you have a pretty good open and shut case. But it's not that simple, is it? The whole purpose of this is to say it's a very nuanced discussion. There are a lot of points of contention. I'm just saying, someone who creates a spider or whatever to creep around the internet, quote unquote fuzzy hashing for identification purposes, child sexual abuse material. I'm questioning why you're doing that if you're not a government or a law enforcement agency who already has the material to train the AI, who already has the material to create a hash list. Are you creating a hash list? And what are you using it for? I don't know. They could be using it for good. They could be using it for bad. I'm not sure. But I think if the internet was honest and consistent with their opinions, they would go, I don't know if I trust this person. And it's weird to me because maybe that person should be trusted. Maybe that project is noble. Maybe everything's just fine. Maybe they have good explanations. But does the internet entertain good explanations? I don't think so. I don't think they do. It's really weird and funny to me to see it. But hey, it is what it is. I don't know. I don't do any of this shit. All I do is I go downstairs, I turn on my camera. I hope I'm not naked. I'm usually not. Sometimes though. Turn on my camera and then I just talk about an issue.